The Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 meeting of the Carleton School Board of Directors is called to order. Al, hey, do you mind leading us to the pledge?
My allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Apple,
He's not able to be here tonight.
Director Luke,
He's not able to be here tonight.
Director Hunter,
Yeah.
Director O'Brien,
She's not able to be here tonight.
Director Pushkar. Here. Director Simsek. Here. Director Zalewski,
She's not able to be here tonight.
Director Vogliano. Here. Director Shriver.
Here. I'll report we had an executive session prior to this meeting where we discussed personnel, litigation, and student matters. And I'll turn to Dr. Craig for the superintendent report.
Thank you, Director Schreiber. This evening, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and sincerely thank the generous donation of a few individuals and businesses to the Carleton School District. First, we'd like to thank Subaru of South Hills for their continued support through the Subaru Loves Learning Initiative. What this initiative does, Subaru committed $7,500 to Carnegie Elementary School, divided among 15 teachers. Each of those 15 teachers then will receive $500 towards the adoptaclassroom.org credit to go out and purchase school supplies to support the classroom and support their instruction. So I think as another example, Subaru, who's been with us last year as well, directly impacts teaching and learning, and we're grateful for Subaru's partnership in helping provide high-quality resources to our students. Second, on the agenda is also the acceptance of the donation in the amount of $1,500 from the Masonic Lodge. That donation goes directly to Carnegie Elementary to support indoor recess activities and also PBIS program, both of which contribute to a positive and supportive school environment. Their generosity demonstrates a true commitment to the well-being of our students. And finally, we'd like to thank Bridge City Barbershop here in Crafton for their donation of back-to-school supplies to support the children of the Carleton School District. These supplies will help ensure that our students are equipped for the school year. On behalf of the district and the Board of Education, I want to express our gratitude towards Subaru of South Hills, Masonic Lodge, and Bridge City Barbershop. Their contributions highlight a strong commitment to the district and simply demonstrates what can happen when people work together in the spirit of our children. Also this evening, the district's communication plan is on the board agenda. I'd like to provide an overview of the work that has taken place over the past year. Carleton School District assembled a committee of administrators, staff, board members, students, and community members to develop a formal district-wide communication plan. The purpose of the plan is simple and vital to ensure that our communication with all stakeholders, which includes families, students, staff, and the wider community at large, is clear, consistent, proactive, and transparent communication plan. The plan outlines our mission and vision for communication, which align directly to the mission and vision of the school district. It has defined audience as far as who our targeted individuals are that we want to communicate with. It outlines communication goals, such as building transparency, creating a unified district brand identity, and improving two-way communication and strengthening crisis communication. A detailed communication action plan with strategies ranging from the website to social media, print publication, newsletters, and emergency communication protocols as well. Finally, the plan introduces procedures for handling complaints, ways for parents and community members to effectively communicate with school officials, and systems to evaluate and improve communications over time. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of those who participated in the development of the communication plan. Their collaboration has been resulting in a plan that will guide us moving forward. Also, last week I attended a conference here in Pittsburgh. It was the AI Horizons Conference. It brought together leaders from a lot of different entities, including government, education, and industry, to discuss the future of artificial intelligence and its impact on Pennsylvania's economy, workforce, and infrastructure. One of the highlights was a panel moderated by Dr. Farnham Jahame, who is the president of Carnegie Mellon University. Governor Josh Shapiro was also there. Robin Vince, who is the CEO of BNY Mellon, and also Dan Sumner, who's the CEO of Westinghouse Electric Company. The discussion focused on how our state can leverage AI for growth and innovation. Some of the key takeaways were pretty interesting as a result of those conversations that took place during that conference. Google announced that they're going to release the Pennsylvania AI Accelerator, which offers free AI training to 1 million small businesses building digital skills at scale. Also, AWS, Amazon Web Services, is investing $20 billion in data centers in Pennsylvania. It's the largest private sector investment in state history. It's going to create 10,000 trade jobs and 1,200 permanent positions. So as the AI platforms continue to develop, it's not just looking at technology jobs, it's not just looking at white collar jobs, it's also looking at the trades as far as building those infrastructure. BNY Mellon is committing $10 million to CMU's AI lab. Based on the conversations that took place there, BNY Mellon has a very strong relationship with CMU, does a lot of heavy recruiting from those who attend CMU. So if you're interested in working at BNY Mellon, I would say that going to CMU and being a part of their program would be a great first step. BNY is looking at training all of their employees. 50,000 employees have already been completed their AI training. Westinghouse is also applying AI to nuclear reactor design, showing how technology is reshaping entire industries. It was interesting to see the connection between those organizations. AI itself takes a lot of power to generate, which Westinghouse is taking a look into their nuclear facilities to help power artificial intelligence across the state of Pennsylvania. The overarching theme was collaboration across government, industry, and education. For us in public education, the relevance, I believe, is pretty clear. AI is not just transforming business and infrastructure, it is reshaping the skills and knowledge our students will need in the future. Workforce readiness, ethical use of technology, and cross-sector partnerships are all a part of the future that we must plan and prepare our students for. As we continue our work here at Arlington, this conference reinforced the importance of connecting what happens in our classrooms to the realities of a rapidly changing economy. As you know, we recently added a teaching position at the elementary level to enhance our students' grasp of technology and adjusted coursework here at the junior-senior high school to extend the applications of technology. Our students must be ready to thrive in a world where AI will have influence on many career pathways. Also this evening, just to give an update on the Carnegie renovation project. That project is following the timeline as far as the plan and the phasing of construction. So some key milestones here. Yesterday, all documents were uploaded onto the site in preparation for today, where the bids went formally out for bid. We have a pre-meeting bid meeting scheduled at Carnegie next week at 3:30 on the 25th. Bids will be due for this project on October 14th with a 4-week bid period and the possibility of short extension if we need that. The bids will be reviewed and conducted in time for the board's work session on November the 11th. And the board will then have the opportunity to award bids at our November 18th meeting, and a notice to proceed with detailed plans and finalized schedules at that time. Finally, construction then will begin in May of 2026 and will continue tentatively through July 30th of 2027. So the phasing, phase one, they're taking a look at auditorium alterations as phase one. Phase two, in the summer of 2026, work will focus in on restrooms, classrooms, gym windows, waterproofing, and major site improvements, such as the parking and the play areas. Phase three, we'll look at the addition that's going on in the back of the building. Phase four is lower level alterations that will begin in December of 2026. And then the final phase, summer of 2027, the final phase will complete corridors, flooring, restrooms, vestibules, doors, windows, roof replacement, and remaining site work. In the event that we would experience some type of delay in the construction project, just to put this out well in advance, if that does occur, the district may need to consider a starting date of after Labor Day during the 2027-2028 school year. But as mentioned earlier, the tentative end date is July 30, 2027. But that is an area that certainly will continue to monitor. So once again, this project is certainly a reflection of our dedication towards making sure that our students and our staff members have a safe and modernized learning space for students by the summer of 2027. Finally, this evening, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and welcome our student board representatives. Pleased to welcome back Rose Highfield, who has been with us last year as our student representative, as a junior representative. Rose has taken an active role in student leadership, has done a terrific job at representing the board. Also like to introduce a new face at the table, and that is Jackson Keeney. Jackson will join us as the junior rep. As far as our procedure with that goes, Jackson will be joining us for the next 2 years. As we phase Rose out at the end of the year, we follow that same cycle again, just to maintain that consistency. So very pleased to have Rose join us again, and for having Jackson join us this year as well as the board rep. Look for your insights and reports on student life here at the junior senior high school. So thank you for your interest in doing this and for serving as student board reps. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Credit. Any questions or comments from board members on the superintendent report? If I could quickly add my perspective, I was able to go to the same conference that Dr. Credit did, and I can't describe how impactful it was. We've all heard about AI, many of us have used it or played around with it. But the conference was open and it acknowledged that there was a lot of fluff that was happening with AI, a lot of buzz. They focused on the uncertainty of it, they focused on what was actually being done with it and what productive business outcomes can be driven by it. They talked about the ethics of it. There were a lot of people that talked about the workforce development components to it, and how it's going to be affecting blue collar and white collar workers inequitably. The assertion of many different folks, both from government and from industry, was that blue collar jobs will continue to be needed, will continue to be attractive, and will, for now, not be impacted by AI. The white collar jobs is going to be the biggest impact. So the recommendation was if you're a white collar worker, you have to learn how to use this tool and make it part of your repertoire, or you're going to be quickly obsolete. Blue collar worker eventually will need it, and it will be incorporated into their workflow at some point, but they're still going to need hands-on people to do the work. And Dr. Credit made the point about energy. If the energy requirements are even close to what they're talking about, we're going to need to essentially double our energy capacity, which is mind-boggling. So we're going to need a ton of electricians and line workers and all the equipment that was built to support that infrastructure. Our grid is woefully old and incapable of delivering the power that's needed. So Westinghouse is going to likely have a big upside. Natural gas, like it or not, is going to have a huge upside, and all the infrastructure to support it. So for our students, the next 10 years is going to be really significant, and AI is going to be a huge part. So I'll ask my colleagues, so if I look back at trends, if the internet 20, 30 years ago was a big thing and it impacted all of our lives in a big way, smartphones 15 years later impacting our lives in a big way. I see AI as a similar and equally impactful trend, and it looks to me like it's taking the internet and adding intelligence and relevance and context, and it will change how we all work and think and live. And if that is the case, how will it impact education? We know it's impacting already. How do we, as a body that helps to oversee a process that was largely created 100 years ago, that we have evolved and we have shaped, but it is largely that old, how do we re-examine what we're doing and how AI plays a role in that? So I don't have any of those answers, but I guess the question of my colleagues, is that something we should approach on a monthly basis, even if it's a small 10-minute conversation around what does that look like and how is it impacting education and workforce and our lives? So step off my soapbox. Any comments or thoughts about my AI? Thank you for shopping. Move on.
It's such a big topic. I think it's something that's going to be naturally working its way into what we do here because we have to. I mean, it is part of what we do. So I don't think we have any of us have any answers, but of course we need to look at. I don't know. If we need to say right now, 10 minutes every week or I think we have a little bit of administration to rely upon to help guide us in how it's impacting the environment here. And I think we all work in industry and can see how it's impacting our jobs there. And I think, that's what we've done all along. As we talk about what we're doing, and, we hear what's going on here and how do those two combine? And how do we make it the best for our students to give them the best future? So I think we've done it to a degree. And I think we just have to keep doing that with, learn a lot about AI. And I think it's a good first step, or a good step, I don't know if it's our first step, that we now have technology integrated into our elementary education. And that we've been talking about things like the ethics of it and how it integrates with our classes. So I think we're doing that.
One quick additional point, you reminded me, Governor Shapiro made the point in his comments at the event in front of everybody that he recognizes that the state and the federal government have incentivized and the carrot for the last 34 years has been college prep. And he acknowledged that in light of now what he's seeing and what we're all seeing around AI and the need for infrastructure, and he didn't use the word misguided, but he acknowledged that there's a disconnect between what we as a society need and what the education system that we all live
I
in.
think that's changing. I think that's been changing over the years. When I started trying to, and part of the reason I'm here is because I was trying to recruit for jobs that required people to have those kinds of skills. And I had difficulty finding applicants. And that got me involved years and years ago. And I have seen the evolution, like there are more and more people that are recognizing diverse career paths. I don't think it's always fun at college as it used to be. So I do have seen change in that. And, I think that's what we have to do is recognize all career paths are valid. And support should be supported.
Any other thoughts, comments?
The thing that I will add is that the research with AI in workforce development suggests that of the top 10 skills that jobs that require AI are looking for at the moment, 8 of them are human skills. Communication, leadership, conflict management, those things are not going away regardless of what happens with the technology that we are seeing being invested. So I think every time there is a significant technological advance, there are people who scream that this technological advance is going to take our jobs. Every time it doesn't take jobs, it creates new jobs, right? Before the internet, work was a place that you went. Now work is a thing that you do, and you can do that from home, you can do it from your office, you can have a job that is on site every day. There's job quality across industries, and there's good pathways for everyone in every industry. So I think it's really a matter of making sure that our students know how much they can accomplish and how they can best open as many doors as possible for themselves. And that we recommit to the goal of making sure that every Arlington grad is college or career ready when they graduate from the district, and that we all are kind of marching towards that goal.
If I could add one personal clarification. I understand the point about new opportunities being created, and I completely agree with that. My personal opinion is that we will absolutely lose jobs from the old paradigm, and we will create new jobs in the new paradigm. So I didn't want to put those words in your mouth, but I think there will be jobs that will be lost. The idea is having us help educate our children and our students to understand what those new opportunities look like, what skill sets are needed, which you articulated very well. So I think that's the challenge for us to figure out how to do that. But anybody else? Okay, thank you. Moving on, committee reports. Parkway West, Director Apple's not here. I don't know if you have any updates or anyone else has a Parkway West.
I have a meeting scheduled for superintendents of the jointure tomorrow, where most likely we'll discuss a little bit more information about the renovation project with Parkway, and have some additional information to report out.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Shar, any updates on Pathfinder?
Thank you, Jim. First of all, our CPA, which is the same CPA as Covington's, OSAC, Spec, Mutual, and Wood, gave us a unqualified audit opinion, which is the top opinion.
It was done a little later because our secretary really does need help. Actually, anybody out there who's good with finances, we could really use you at Parkway to help with the books. Let's see, the teachers started on August 20th. The kids started August 26th. We have 84 students, and there should be a couple more coming, but the problem is, for one thing, at that point, we needed one more classroom teacher. Listen to this, we needed 4 paraprofessionals. So if anybody wants to get a job with Pathfinder, we could use you. Paraprofessionals, of course, get benefits, and they are AIU employees instead of Pathfinder. But they get benefits. Plus, we need 9 PCAs. That's a personal care assistant. That's the person who is with a child who has significant issues. Plus, we need substitute teachers. So anybody out there, Pathfinder really does need some extra help. And it's good, these are good paying jobs. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Shasta, Dr. Kreider, any new news in Shasta?
No updates.
No. Thank you. Legislative PSBA, Director Bogiata, anything?
Not really enough.
No budget?
Still no state budget.
Rumblings are 38?
I've been saying that for like 3 months. I genuinely don't know. They're pretty far. They say they're close, but they're so far.
Thank you. Foundation update.
I was not at the last meeting, I have to keep this here instead. But according to the agenda, they were planning for Thursday, though, so that's all I have.
Very cool. Thank you. Any questions on committee reports tonight? Turning to our returning and our new student representatives. Which one of you is going to begin this evening?
Yes, I will. I'm Elizabeth Heiko, and I'm now the student representative of the senior class, which is kind of weird. Mateo's position, but I'm happy to be here.
I'm Jackson Keeney. I'm going to be the student representative for the junior class.
And we're both very honored to obviously come here and highlight student concerns, the different events that they attend, and basically what they do in the frequency as school works.
Alright, to start, the school held its annual 7th grade orientation on Wednesday, August 20th, where 7th grade students were able to go to the school with their families and sit in a short lecture and meeting discussing the upcoming school year and giving them an introduction to what everything's like. Afterward, they were permitted to go around and meet their teachers, and when they arrived, they were greeted by NHS students.
And as for the student organizations, it's kind of had a strong start to the year. So student government has held their first meeting on September 3rd, and they were able to gather a lot more members, which is great to see. And they were able to sit in and talk about their budgets and upcoming events and their plans that they want to do for that cafe. And so they're hoping for more collaborations in order to make more profits. And as for the Best Buddies Club, they hosted their interest meeting in the morning on September 10th during homeroom. And they had donuts for everyone. And once again, they were able to get a lot of students, which was really great to see. And they actually had their first actual meeting after school today. And they had apple covering, which they covered their chocolate over apples. And they did friendship bracelets, and they were off, and tons of crafts. And for the BSU, they also had their meeting, and they welcomed new and returning members. And they were able to have snacks, and they enjoyed games as well. And as for the GSA, they met and they welcomed new members as well. And they enjoyed pizza, and they talked about different students that were interested in their opposite positions.
As students returned to school after the summer, several involved in sports were really eager to get back to practicing, especially if they hadn't already over the summer. Carlson's volleyball, football, cheer, and soccer teams are working truly vigorously to win every game and make a mark on Carlson. I for one, am looking forward to track season starting up in the spring, but that's a while off.
And as a quick but intriguing note, I thought that it was on Monday, but tomorrow the seniors are actually voting on the opening court during homeroom. And everyone's very intrigued and excited to see whom will be on and excited to put their input onto who they want to be on the court.
All right. As for the new business that we have to bring to the table, students continue to be enthusiastic about the new lunch options this year, enjoying the variety and comparing some choices to Chipotle or Subway style. We're excited to try something new every day, which has added a fresh energy into the cafeteria. At the same time, a few students have shared feedback that the cookies sold during lunchtime are not as good as the ones last year. While they appreciate having a sweet option, some have noted that the cookies aren't quite the same. And Mr. Racecoat, I apologize if I mispronounced that, has shared that the last year's cookie options are no longer available through Aramark. However, he's looking at other options and he plans to have a taste test with some students very soon.
And students have also shared concerns about the bathroom traffic and the limitations that have risen. And after meeting with Ms. Burleson, we were trying to work with some solutions, like increasing the number of students that are allowed to go to the bathroom, and as well as exploring the opportunity for students to actually stop their own classes instead of teachers having the ability to do that. And sometimes they forget or they're caught up in their lesson, and that's how trauma gets into play. And also, officers and members of National Honor Society are looking for a sponsor for their organization as it kind of fell through. And so, as president and as an advocate for all the other members, we're all very concerned and we're very eager to get the events and opportunities for our volunteering started up again. And if there's any parent or community member that is up to actually sponsoring and taking over that position, that would be great.
On October 4th, 2025, homecoming is going to take place and students are thrilled. The theme and court have yet to be revealed, but students are excited to find out soon. In the year, we're happy to, let me restart that. In this year, we are planned to announce, and we are happy to announce that 9th graders are going to be able to attend. It will be in our gym, so the sophomore class officers and the homecoming committee are working hard to make sure that they turn our gym into something magical.
And as for the very last note, and most intriguing note, is the honor pouches. And here's the scoop. All of us are kind of saying that it hasn't totally resolved the problem, as we still wish that we had them during the study hall or lunch. But that being said, teachers have seen different collaborations and students actually having real conversations in class, which is on a positive note. And at lunch, students have obviously voiced that they would love to have their phones. But talking with Ms. Burleson, she's working with solutions like bringing different activities and making it more fun and interactive after they eat their lunch. So like including TV or a game console or a foosball, or even like air hockey. So talking about those ideas would obviously make lunch more fun, and even though some people might be opposed to the ideas, it still brings light to the situation and obviously gives something for us to do, and she's trying to make solutions, which is really helpful and shows that she cares and she wants to listen to us.
Please repeat, when is homecoming? October?
October 4th. All right, that's all we got this time. I want to thank you all for letting me come up here and join you all as junior representative, and I look forward to working with everyone.
Great.
If I could quickly comment on both your comments. One thing I love was that you brought up issues that you perceive as negative, and you were able to identify what concerns you had, you took it to the right people, you had conversations. Sometimes they get resolved and you like it, sometimes they don't, but I'm loving the fact that you're having that dialogue and you're kind of learning how the world works. And you can have an impact on stuff, and you can get things changed that, sometimes you can get things changed that you don't like. When you have a good argument, you can boost it. So kudos, and I love that fact that you're doing that. Thank you. Last quick question. You're looking for a sponsor. I missed part of what you're looking for. Is it a financial sponsor or a humankind sponsor?
Or, kind of like an advisor almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since the pre-existing advisors, they obviously aren't in the positions anymore. So we're looking for a new advisor to still go on with the organization.
For which group?
For
National Honor Society
National.
and National Junior Honor.
Do you have a rough idea of what that time looks like?
I don't know, I'd say probably pretty lengthy just because being able to actually communicate to all the members and my meetings, it probably takes a lot of time to organize it all.
Is that have to be a teacher or is that a meeting member?
It first gets posted in June.
Thanks for bringing that to the Any questions for our student?
A quick thank you. I am the parent of a new 7th grader in the National Honor Society. Students who greeted us in the Rising 7th grade orientation were really friendly. They made it really obvious where kids should go. They took a lot of the stress out of that event for 7th graders and their families. So thank you very much for doing.
All right, so we have time where we allow or invite members of the Carleton community to ask comments or provide feedback to the board. Dr. Taylor, anybody sign up for comments this evening?
We have 2 for agenda items. First is Brittany Boha.
Great, we'll remind you and everybody the 3-minute time limit, which we try to be flexible on. But please
One
proceed.
question real quick. Do I have to sign up for every agenda item I want to talk about, or can I just generally? Because I think I signed up like 7 times. I'm just curious how it.
So quick feedback, if there's an easy question that we can answer, you can just email the administration and ask instead of this.
Yeah, I mean, there was like, I have lots, so I didn't know if like every agenda item I had to sign up for, or if I just put like.
You can block it all together,
Okay.
on the line, and then it's still the 3 minutes for no matter how many
Well,
topics.
no, I know. I just didn't know if I had to sign up every time.
No.
Okay. So, a couple things. The first is on the agenda, for Derek's resignation. So I just have a couple questions. One, just in talking through a lot of the school board groups that I'm in, like, stuff like that, best practice typically is in Pennsylvania to post the vacancy to the community, interview people, and then vote. So what is Carleton's policy on replacing Derek? Do you just pick someone, or?
I think the school could have said that we pick somebody, and I think I've been involved for a number of years, and we've selected the last 4 or 5 by appointment. So
How do you find those people?
people that have expressed interest in being a part of it, people that have come to meetings, friends of friends, recommendations, so it's a number of sorts.
Okay. So I also have a question then, just curious from my own knowledge about board policy 004, the membership policy specifically. I'm just really curious what the board's take is. Nothing against Director Zalewski, but she has not been present physically or remotely to a board meeting since February. And I went back and checked every single board meeting before I brought this up. So I'm just curious, like, where the board stance is. If that person hasn't been here, how are they actively involved in the board? How are they, like, being the community? What's the take from the community, like, as a board member that hasn't been present? And in there it states about like 2 consecutive meetings and.
The question about the policy?
Yes, like where are you with the policy? I mean, she's missed more than 2 consecutive meetings.
These are topics that you can, I mean, this forum isn't forum for like asking questions, answer like, there are certain questions that we can say, yes, the homecoming meeting's this date. But for lengthy, I think that the proper way to handle that is to contact the administration.
Or a board meeting where everybody can hear in public meeting, I can ask it too.
Well, you can make a comment about it, but there's no rule that says that you need to give an answer to that.
Oh, so you don't have to, why the policy's not being followed? Okay, great, I'll move on, it's fine, I'll send an email, I'll
The
move on.
policy is being followed.
It's okay, I'll move on, I'll send an email. The communication plan, I just have a couple questions in there, because I finally was able to read it yesterday. I saw in there about like making, stuff accessible for languages. Have we ever thought about, as part of the communication plan, bringing the, forgive me, I don't remember what they're called, the translator devices to board meetings, so that way if someone who speaks a different language wanted to come to a board meeting, they'd be able to listen into the board meeting? I didn't know how those are.
They actually came out with new technology in that regard, and we're exploring how we can implement it for board meetings. They expanded it pretty strong advancements on that device that we're going to start to look at.
And then what's the time frame for like, specifically in there with the public board agendas? I saw in there about posting it about 3 days before meetings, an ease newsletter, like is there time frames on these or?
We didn't attach timelines to the plan itself. We set goals, but intentionally left things open as the plan unfolds, and we look for additional resources to carry that out.
Perfect, thanks.
Dr. Taylor, anybody else?
Lisa Smith.
Hi, I just have a couple of questions. One about this MOU for the SNAP education program. What does this do for us? You're gonna vote on whether or not we should do this. Like, what does this actually, how does this benefit the school, us doing this? This seems like something that really should be at the library or at a church or at the community center. How is this benefiting us?
From what I understand, the SNAP MOU provides the district with supplies that can be used towards our STEAM initiatives.
It doesn't say that in the MOU.
A lot of times the MOUs don't necessarily go into great detail as far as what they're providing, but it does go along with our STEAM initiative.
So again, the communication is not there. Okay. The next thing I have is I noticed that this thing's being donated by Cody at the Bridge City Barber. They went to the Carlington School District, so anybody that needed them could get them. But I noticed that the Subaru and the Masonic Lodge, that all goes to Carnegie. Is there any reason why it's not split between Carnegie and Grafton? Why does Carnegie get everything?
Based on the wishes of the donor.
So I'm just gonna bring this up. I don't mean to sound petty, but it's irritating to me. We had a church that did a coat drive for the kids in Grafton, and because they didn't make enough coats to give the kids in Carnegie coats, the church was no longer allowed to do the coat drive for the kids in Grafton. So I don't understand why we're allowed to give to one and not the other. That makes no sense to me.
Lisa, in the past, there have been organizations that have donated things just to the Grafton kids, and there's some organizations that have donated just to the Carnegie kids. It's not meant to be exclusionary, it's just sort of where that person or that organization lived or worked and where they felt a connection. So I understand your point about equality in some levels, but over time it kind of works its way out. And like in Grafton, the Ed Bowen Foundation provides some direct support for Grafton students year after year, which is wonderful. He wasn't anti-Carnegie, he was just pro-Grafton because he lived in Grafton. So I think there's plenty of examples on both sides, and I think over time it evens out big picture. But I appreciate your point. Dr. Taylor, anybody else signed up for agenda items?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Pause.
Thank you for sharing an update on your office. There was a lot of concern on the parent side before school started on those, and can you just share a little bit more information how, in general, students have been receptive to them? Are they finding that they kind of like not having them in the classroom? Are they Are they still struggling? I think you mentioned about doing research and not having access to websites. Has the district improved that?
I would say yes, as far as the research angle goes. I also wouldn't say that the students are 100% in favor of the pouches yet. Although I don't think that's going to be a feasible achievement. But I think having them out of the way, I don't know as far as the numbers yet, if it's going to help.
Just
But
general sentiment.
in general, it feels like they want to be the ones to say, like, I'm not going to use this here, rather than have that thrust upon them, it feels like. That's my sense that I get. Rose, would you?
Yeah, I can agree. I think that for the most part, there's definitely students that have felt, in my perspective, I feel like if you don't have it, like it doesn't matter. Like if you aren't using it and it's not locked away, like you're still not using it, rather than having it locked away and like I'd rather not have it locked away, just have it in my backpack. But either way, it's not being used, so why does it really matter? So that's like one of the, I guess, big concerns or perspectives that I don't really understand, because if my phone's locked away versus if it's in my backpack and not locked away, either way I'm not on it and not using it.
In school last year, were phones a distraction?
Yeah, it's not like, sorry.
It's not really a question from students' houses.
That's fine.
Sorry, we also need your name for minutes.
Thank you.
Reese, you got open forum, have another question?
Yeah, about the agenda.
Jen?
Reese Smith. Just regarding the resignation, I know about maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, there was a vacancy at the Grafton Borough Council. I encourage you guys to look through the process they went. I thought they gave pretty ample time to solicit applications from community members, go through those applications, invite them to come and basically give a little bit of a speech and be questioned by the board, and then they voted on it. I thought it was a pretty transparent process and plenty of time for community members to provide feedback. So just encourage you guys to just look at that and think about that while you're pondering how to fill this vacancy. Thank you.
Thanks. And with no one else having signed up, I'll move on to minutes from previous meetings under section 3. I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2 minutes that we looked through there.
I so move.
Moved second, thank you. Any questions or comments? Have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 10, under section 4, miscellaneous, we have 10 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve all 10 items, please.
So moved. Second.
Not all 10. Item 4.9, excluding 4.9 and address 4.9 separately because of
Okay. Thank you for catching that. So under section 4, items 1 through 8 and number 10. I'll entertain a motion. I think we're in the process of having a motion second. So I'll entertain a motion to do 1 through 8 and 10 under section 4 miscellaneous.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yes. So I apologize, I was not able to make last week's voting, or not voting meeting, committee meeting, where I know the communications plan was discussed a little bit further. So I do have some questions about the communications plan. I want to say thank you very much to the committee members. I know that was an extensive amount of time that committee members spent on the communications plan. I think in all, it is a very good plan, but I also think it is an impossible plan to operationalize without a staff member or some entity who is responsible for implementing the plan. Right now, I recognize I'm not in the building day to day. I don't know of anyone in the building with the skill set and the time on their plate to be able to take this plan and implement it. And I have pretty significant concerns about approving a plan that we don't have a plan in place to operationalized, because I think it's making a commitment to something and setting ourselves up for failure on it. I also have questions about whether a communications plan is the work of the school board to approve, or if this is a management strategy that should be the purview of the administration to approve and change and shift as we see things working or not working. I think we need to have a discussion about what, if this is the plan that we're approving, are we increasing the budget to add a position to the district in order to be able to deliver on these things? I know that last week there may have been some discussion about that. And then just one very specific thing that I want to call forward from the plan, and that is that the 3-day advance notice for board agendas, I think is wonderful. And as a board member, I would love to see that. But I also want to make it very clear that the district's legal obligation is 24 hours advance notice. And I do not think we should commit to the 3-day advance notice, because that hamstrings us as potential things come up. If we have a business meeting in 2 days, we should be able to put something on the agenda 2 days from now if it comes up that day. I think we should do our best to get an agenda out earlier than that. I think we can make it clear that it is a preliminary agenda. There are things that we can do, but I also want to take all of the time that we have available to us so that we don't end up with a 4-week delay on moving something forward because we missed an artificial deadline that we put in place. So knowing that several of you were here last week and discussed, was there discussion about what the budgetary impact of this looks like and what the kind of move forward is on what should we give up in order to make sure that we can implement this good but ambitious plan? And that's like, it is a very good plan. I don't want to take away from any of the work that anyone did, but I also want to be realistic about what our budget looks like.
Any thoughts?
I have a couple of questions. First of all, Tony, in your opinion, is this something that the board should be voting on, or is it, management strategy, as Susan suggested?
It's not really something that I see voting on by the school board. It's a plan, another safety plan or something like that.
Okay, all right.
We did discuss it, we brought up the budget topic, and I think several of us said, kudos for the breadth, kudos for the thoroughness, and I appreciate the feedback from teachers and administrators and community members that help frame that and shape it. Because of the nature of how we did it, the comprehensiveness of it, there's a lot there, and it's virtually impossible to implement, I think, without significant new effort.
I'm sorry, Jim. No. I look at it as like chicken and the egg thing. Like, we need to have a plan to figure out how we're going to staff the plan or how much it's going to cost. So I think having a plan in place is essential, and we need to have it. So knowing what we're shooting for, it can help us to find who's going to staff it, how we're going to staff it, and how much of a budget we need to have for it. And we didn't get into details about that last week. But I understand there are PSBA recommended consultants that we can work with. It doesn't necessarily need to be an employee of the district. So that would defray some of those costs and those obligations about an employee. So are there thoughts from the members of the committee who developed the plan on how this should be staffed?
So the piece we spoke about last week was taking a look at aspects of the plan that could be taken and be done internally, but then also looking at the higher order elements of the plan that certainly would require a much heavier lift, and looking towards an outside resource through possibly an RFP to solicit the type of interest that we would need specifically to deliver the plan. So it's a combination of both, looking at internal work staff that can handle some of the workload, because some of us already do some of that work, and then also looking for an outside agency as well, which would have an impact on our budget.
And if we approve this plan tonight, what would be the next step?
The next step would be for us to go back, draft an RFP towards the items that we would look to outsource, and then find out what that cost would be based on the proposal that would be submitted.
And last week we identified, I think it was 6 items that were the top tier items that we wanted to accomplish.
Right.
And I don't see any deadlines in these plans, so I don't know, when we're looking to achieve those. I do think it's, necessary for us to have a plan and have, some cohesiveness to how we're approaching communication from the district. So I support having a plan, but you raised very good questions and thoughts, so I think we need to know how we would staff it, how much money we can put into that.
Because of the breadth of scope, how wide we cast the net, and because of the significant likely cost to do it, I treated this as sort of a wish list that the administration could digest and then understand operationally how do we execute this, with great points about, I agree with you on the timing. The 3-day agenda could be a goal. Maybe our internal requirement and our legal requirement is 1 day, 24 hours, but when possible, and maybe draft agenda, when we mentioned draft, maybe that's the way but we reserve the right to amend it up until 24 hours before to try to make sure that we're getting business done in a timely fashion to help the students' success. So, I treated this as a concept that we're going to work toward. With then, hey, we're going to prioritize it based on resources we have or people we can get. Here's what we'll do first, and let's put a plan of action in place for this piece of it. And we're going to have to do it in bite-sized chunks, I think, both time-wise and money-wise. But that was my personal opinion, and this is a great segue into the conversation of what does this look like moving forward. So, do you want to comment on what your perspective was from the administration? What you envisioned, maybe you envisioned something different, or?
No, we were going to start with the highest priorities that we identified to carve out time to work on those, take a look at the most achievable types of topics as quickly as possible, getting those implemented. And at the same time, taking a look at an RFP to outsource some of the work as well.
You say answer some or most, or?
It does. I think I still remain very concerned that there are members of the community who do not assume positive intent of the district, of the board. And though the intent of the plan is very positive, I do think that there are some folks who will say, you have this communication plan, you haven't done anything on the communication plan. You've held yourself to a very high standard and you failed at X, Y, and Z, because we are a small district that is resource constrained. And there are things that are going to take priority over some of the things within the plan itself. And so I think part of my discomfort is the fact that there are not timelines attached to things, and that a plan that had more timelines attached, and I know there's some amount of flexibility that needs to be inherent in timelines, but to me, passage of a plan that's approved by the board is, okay, we start to implement this tomorrow. And so implementation might then mean, okay, we go out and we procure for a consultant that can do this, but I'm not sure that we've communicated that effectively to the public to be able to say the intent after the plan is passed is not for day 2 us to have consistent branding across, right? The idea of the number of people within a district this size who have to know the RGB codes, right? And then who's going to police that? And we had one mistake on the website and get called out in a public meeting for it. So all of that is fixed by this communication plan that we don't have a person that can. And that's my concern.
So would you be more comfortable having a consultant put that in place before the plan is?
I would be, yeah. I don't think we're stopped on this.
And that might, yeah, and I think that might keep us on track.
Right?
And, yeah.
There's nothing substantively that I disagree with the plan, right? It's a question of how do you make it so that it's not something that sits on a shelf, and that I think requires a person to operationalize it. And I think we have to have a discussion about what does that mean for our budget or for what we give up in order to implement a communication plan.
I think I would just be wary about hiring somebody without already having a plan set. So that's just my take on it. Like, I don't want to say, hey, like, we're hiring someone, and they say, for what? What are they doing? What are you planning? We can have a job description, but I think before we move forward, we need to have something set in stone.
What if we do this? I like your comments, I like your comment. I like all of your.
Thank you.
What if we treat this as, this is the wish list that the committee has brought together with the community's help, and we're, as a board, we're passing it, acknowledging it. Now the direction is, it goes back to the administration to operationalize, and they're gonna prioritize, okay, here are the things we think we can peel off and do relatively easy with existing staff. Here's the things we think are probably more efficiently done by an outside firm, and they bring back a plan to us in a month, I'll make up the number, and says, here's what we, of this plan, here's what we think we can carve out and do immediately, and whether that means we have to then modify our communication plan and add, group it differently, we add a date to it. It's an evolving document that we then approve a new version over time, acknowledging that this is a wish list of something that came from the community.
What if we put timelines on it? I mean, that doesn't mean that, maybe we hit that timeline and, or maybe we have to ask for an extension. But I do think that gives us, we need work on that. We need work on getting things done in a timely way, and having a deadline, I think, might be a good thing to.
Deadline would be great. I don't know that we.
Like if we could say, okay, because we did last week, we said, okay, these 6 things. If we say, okay, we've identified these 6 things, can we say, let's get these done and. My understanding is there are certain things that we can do ourselves and certain things that we can reach out for assistance with. So if there are certain things we can do ourselves and we think we can, let's set a deadline. Let's have these done in 3 months.
That's what I suggested,
Yeah.
but I don't know that the administration is prepared tonight to say, here's the 3 things that we can give you a date.
So maybe we don't vote on this until.
So Mr. Gilio, what would be the options for the board then? Vote, decline it, table it?
My recommendation would be if you get a motion and a second to table it, there's no discussion on the motion and the second, get the vote and see is it tabled, and that would give you an opportunity to address these issues. Well, I'm not sure where you couldn't vote it down.
I'm comfortable passing it with an understanding of all of us that it's not operationalized, we don't have deadlines yet, we want deadlines. What can the administration identify and give us deadlines on by the next meeting side? October.
But your concern is that it doesn't say that.
Yes, so I'd rather table it myself.
If that's what the group wants, I'm happy to.
But you can put the motion out, if somebody seconds it, takes a vote, you can do it that way too.
I second that.
Well, we need a motion.
I thought Chris, made a motion.
Okay, well, I motion that we table it.
I second.
Second, all those in favor of tabling the communication plan just for this month?
Can I just be clear on what I think? Is there discussion? There's not supposed to be discussion.
You can request clarification of the process.
I'm not afraid of Robert, I'll go back to it, it's fine, I'll go back to it in a moment. Yeah, okay, you can begin implementation of the plan tomorrow.
Right.
There is a gravitas that the board voting on something gives to this that I am uncomfortable with. So I am perfectly fine. It is in the public record. It should be in the public record. It provides a guiding document. I think there's more work to be done on it from the managerial perspective of what that looks like. So that's where, if it comes back up next month, right, that is fine. This is not a forever, it's dead conversation.
But the motion and second will still be on the, it will be moved back to the table.
Okay,
That's important.
I'm confused about all of the tables. But
So Jim, when we table this, does it come up next month or does it eventually?
Someone has to bring it up, and if the actual plan changes, you're entitled.
Okay, so it isn't necessarily next month.
We can, and if it does come up next month, we might like to see dates attached to some of the pieces, and that might So we have a motion on the table to table the motion.
A motion to second to table.
Correct. All those in favor of tabling the communication plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, so that piece is tabled. So, Tony, we should then act on the other remaining 8 items in section 4, correct?
Correct, because you already pulled out one, so one has been tabled. Now we're voting on the other 2, the remaining ones that haven't been addressed.
Correct. The other 8 items under section 4. So we have a motion on the table with 8 items under section 4. Any other discussion?
7 items. Because you're still pulling out 4.9.
But there's more than 10.
There's 10.
Yeah, there's 10 minus 2.
Okay. 8. So let's be explicit, just for the purpose of, so under section 4, we are voting to approve items 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Those are 8 items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you. The 8 items under section 4. So number 9, under section 4, we have candidates for PSBA. And so I believe the administration's recommendation for the section W3 advisor would be Eric Meredith. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the item 9 with the specification that we're adding Eric Meredith as the selected recommended candidate for the W3 advisor.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? If not, vote. All those in favor of item 4.9 say yay.
Yay.
Those opposed?
Mixing it
Nay.
up.
We gotta kind of keep things like, okay, motion carries. All right, let's hope the rest is more benign. Under section 5, finance, there are 2 items for approval. Understand motion to approve both of these items.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Under section 6, personnel, we have 2 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve those 2 items.
So moved. Second.
Moved to second. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Not will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Section 7, also 2 items. I'll entertain a motion for those 2.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Not will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Under section 8, policy, we have a long list of policies. Just one item. I'll entertain a motion to approve those new policies.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just to make it clear, this is the first reading of the policy.
Correct. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Not will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
I think I must abstain because Lord of the Ox would not allow me to get into it, to study these. Surely by next, so it's proper for me to abstain.
Were you at the work session last week?
What's that?
Were you at the work session last week?
Yeah.
I was, but I still want to be able to read every day. By next month, I'll be ready.
So with George's abstention, we had 4 yea votes.
Oh, no.
Well,
How
No,
does that
it's a
work?
majority of those present and voting.
for this kind of item, that's acceptable.
Okay, it's acceptable.
Under old business, any reference to old business they'd like to address?
Business, I don't know. I wanted to talk about, and I think it's old, but it's also, it's old in the sense that we've long talked about live streaming board meetings. And I want to revisit that and talk about that again. The communication plan and other discussions. I'd like to see what we can do to get that to happen. And I know that there are certain technical reasons, or considerations that have to be thought of for us to be able to do that. So it's been brought up. We've talked about it. We know we would like to pursue this.
what's preventing us, or what are some of the sticking points that are gonna make that difficult for us, and how are we gonna get around them? And, can we, again, looking at dates, like, let's try to set a target date to get this done. So, can you address that? Just
Sure.
Point of clarity, you said live streaming board meetings, which we are currently doing.
Yeah.
What we do not have is public comment live
That's what I mean.
remotely from the meetings.
Yes.
So first thing would be to take a look at policy 903, which is public comment. Our current policy does not cover, it covers public comment made in the venue itself. It does not cover public comment made through electronic or technological devices. So we would need to have an updated policy for 903 that would have to go through a first and second read based on, we would provide you with recommendations. We work with PSBA to get recommendations. I do know that PSBA does not have a specific board policy 903 that covers exclusively public comments through electronic means. So we would have to write some of our own language, and would work with Andrews and Price and also PSBA to review that language to make sure that it aligns with school code and sunshine and everything else that we would need to be cognizant of.
Because we did this during COVID.
We did it during COVID, and there were special provisions, and we did it both from home and also did it in a public setting where we attended. And so there were different stipulations during COVID where we could do it without the formal board policy based on the provisions governed by the state. So we can draft up that language. We can try to get that ready for the October meeting as far as what that language would look like. Language I know is specific towards what platform we use. So I know that there are several different platforms that we can consider. But from the administrative side of things, we need to think of the platform that we need to run it on. There are considerations I think that I'll make the board aware of in regard to loss of technology, loss of connectivity during the meeting itself. It could create some issues. Once that occurs, there's case law out of Philadelphia where a meeting continued after power was lost and was not able to be transmitted outside the district. That meeting then was null and void because the meeting continued. So we need to be very conscientious of how to handle that. I think I really want to get advice from Andrews and Price and PSBA in the event that does happen. Do we have to stop the meeting? Do we have to, call a recess or whatever we have to do in that process? I think we need to consider, do we want to have the person from home, their image displayed here? Is it just a voice? We still need to make sure that we double check residency verification that the person does reside within the Arlington School District. Make public comment what that process looks like. Here in person, we've had the luxury of knowing our constituents here. So I think that there's a lot of things that we need to take into consideration and troubleshoot it before we move any forward, but definitely we got to start with policy that would give us the availability to do it, but wouldn't necessarily require us to do it, but at least we get that piece out of the way.
And you think we can have that by our next meeting?
That would be a goal. If not, I would say by November for sure.
Okay.
But I do want to have time to run it past PSBA and also with Andrews and Price.
So we'll have pieces of it. Hopefully.
Piece of it, at least we can have a conversation of it. Here's what aspects are. It may not be the formal first read of the policy, but we would at least have a discussion on what it would look like.
You bring up some great caveats that it's good for us to understand. Is it reasonable to reach out to a couple of other superintendents in other districts that do have comments during live streaming, understand how they handle it and what negatives they encounter, how they work around it, just getting that content, because that would be helpful for us to hear everything.
Yeah. And the other part is then we're controlling an environment that we don't have direct access to. What occurs in the background of someone live streaming from home. If there's any incidents, anything, not necessarily that person's responsibility either, but something that happens in their home that now comes into a public setting, becomes a part of sunshine, becomes a part of the public record as well, and I think would be concerning too.
I think if I recall, when we were doing this during COVID, we weren't seeing the image of the person asking questions.
Not always.
We have a moderator
Right.
who would, say, okay, it's your turn, the mic's on.
Right. Right. And it would, as you mentioned, a moderator would have to have a stipend for somebody to control that too.
I was gonna say, we don't have to pay a district employee to do this, which is a good investment in our money, but it's an investment in additional funds. All good points that you brought up. I agree with your question, Chris. I mean, we have talked about it. Are other board members in general agreement that this is something we're gonna try to do? There are caveats, I think Dr. Craig brought up several, but is this something we still want to try to pursue and
Yes.
do for transparency?
Yes.
Maybe?
I think that public comment is for agenda items and for other items to discuss at the board level. I think that there are often comments that get asked at a school board meeting that could be better served through other venues, like an email to the administration about a specific, we've had parents in the past who have shown up and asked about a specific student, and those are things that should go to the administration. So I think as long as we follow our policy, then I'm supporting it.
Yeah, I think it might be serve us well to have like FAQs or, these are the kinds of things that are qualified to turn out into a meeting, and here are some examples of things that are not and not.
Jim, one more thing, I think we've been very lax in keeping people's discussions to 3 minutes. In the future, could you designate one of us who has an iPhone to set the alarm for 3 minutes, hear a very faint ding, and
I think your point is that we've been very generous in trying to allow public comment.
yeah, or 4 minutes,
Without
whatever.
restrictions, right, no, our
Please.
policy is 3.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a point well
Sure.
taken. And to Susie's point, maybe we think about what that looks like for an online presence, and maybe we need to think about it. And I think you brought up some great things to think about as well, so. Great point, great comments.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Any new business? If not, we move to open forum comments from the public. Dr. Taylor, do we have open forum comments?
We do. Brittany Boa.
Welcome back to the stage, Brittany Bowe.
Yes, and let me set my timer for 3 minutes, so I can, 2:59 just started. So I just have, that might be, sorry, my son's being dropped off.
We'll give you a 10-second extension.
Oh, it is, okay, sorry, yeah, no problem. So I just have a question, so I'm doing this public champion education training, fellowship, and we were talking about the state budget, because it's on everybody's mind. So on a website, I can't remember the exact website from the state, it looks like, and I looked at our budget too, 32% of our budget is from the state, which is 11.7, just over $11.7 million to our budget, which hasn't been released yet, obviously. We are fortunate, some districts are much larger than that. So I was just curious, like, what's the district's plan, if that, I mean, I hate to say I'm not sure we're looking much further out than 30 days just based off of everything. Like, what is our plan? Would we start to cut programming? Do we have a backball? Like,
Good news is we've been through this before, and our director of finance, anyway, maybe, I don't know if you want to
go over
Go
right now, we're fine. There's no anticipation that, now until Christmas time, we're gonna have financial issues. Because one, we do have our fund balance that, we built up over the last few years. Secondly, as I might have stated before, a lot of our tax money comes in the first couple months. So that's really our largest amount of income that comes to the district. So we are fine for right now. The state did release half of the gaming on time, so we did receive, approximately $500,000, which is not a lot, but at least they did give us some money So we're gonna watch it. It has hampered me in some ways where, you know, in the past, I'd like to take, you know, and invest a lot of money, but we haven't had, you know, the opportunity to do that. So, we're watching it. We're watching it every day. We're listening and hearing, and we're hearing some signs of, you know, what's happening. We have a group, Hasbro, that goes through and watches it. So we're gonna be okay for right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, Dr. Taylor, any other requests?
I believe so.
Awesome. Any board member open forum? Oh, sorry. Lisa, I didn't see your hand. My apologies.
I wanted to say, it's very hard to hear you guys. Because you talk at each other instead of talking to us when you're having your conversations, which I understand, but can we think about microphones or something so that we can hear you? Like half of that, I never got half of what was just said. I don't know about what's going on about 903. I can only catch bits and pieces. It's very, very hard to hear you guys, especially when there's an event over here. It's just really hard.
Good point. Thank you, Lisa.
Sorry, can you state your name for the minutes?
I'm sorry?
Can you state your name for the minutes?
Lisa Smith.
Thank you.
Dr. Taylor, anybody else on the list? No. Then, board members, any open forum? Oh, sorry, Jackson.
I was gonna just suggest, for the, online, public comment, would it be possible to like send that in like an email format or something to like district residents only? For like that point, I don't know if that's feasible or not, but just
To help
something,
restrict who's
just-
participating is your.
yeah, just food for thought, I guess.
Good idea. Good idea. Board members, any open forum questions? Nope. Board members, any interest in adjourning?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned.